Hello everyone. So today we have a special guest on our channel. We have Subhash, and he's going to talk about his interview experience at Intuit. So Subhash, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, Ashish. Thank you for having me on your channel. I am Subhash, a final year student at Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham Amritapuri campus, and I have received a co-op internship offer from Intuit, and I am currently pursuing that. So Ashish called me here to listen about my experience, and
Yeah.
we'll do that.
So Subhash, let's get right into it. How was your interview experience with Intuit? What were the rounds and what was your experience with it?
Sure. My experience, it was a really great experience interviewing with Intuit. So the whole process consisted of 3 days and it was really smooth. The first day we had an online assessment where we had like four questions. I think all of them were based on DP. I could solve only three. I am not sure of the fourth. So they were around code forces B or C level, I suppose. And then after the online assessment, we got the results in the evening and we had our interviews over the next 2 days. So my interviews, like my two interviews, were over on the second day itself. A few people had it on the third day.
Yeah.
And once the whole procedure was wrapped up, we got the results immediately on the third day. So yeah, it was really good. It was smooth and everything happened on time. And the panelists who were taking the interview, they were super relaxed and chill. They were patient with me when I was stuck and thinking on answers. They I would rather say the interviews happened as like a discussion
Yeah.
more than an interview happening over there. So they really did allow me to explore my thoughts on the questions, and they looked at how I was thinking rather than what answer I was giving. It happened that way.
Okay, and Intuit is a big company, so the interview must have been tough. So I want to ask you, what was the toughest thing or the toughest question that you had to face during the interview process?
The toughest, I wouldn't say it was the toughest question, but it was the toughest part of the interview that I faced. Partly it was because of me, but not because of the question. So in the first round, there was one DSA question asked. I believe it was something along the lines of, there's one missing number among n consecutive, or there's one missing and the other repeats twice. I think that was the question.
Yeah.
So, I was trying out one approach, and in the middle, I was just hard stuck. I couldn't get any further. And I thought I really messed this round up. And then I tried three more approaches. I still couldn't get anywhere. And finally, on the fourth approach, I did get the answer. And so this getting stuck, it was a very nervous feeling. I did not think that would happen, and when that happened, it was really nervous for me. And in the end, I was also able to get the solution for my first approach. So in the end, it went well, I suppose. And I really think I got through that round because I went through multiple approaches, giving the interviewer what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And finally, I was able to get the answer, so it was fine. And the second round was also a very, it was intense, I would say. It was jam packed and intense. First, we had a very deep discussion on one of my projects, and then there were two DSA questions, one based on a try, and like try based questions are not, very common in
Yeah,
interviews.
actually.
So I was a little, surprised at that point, but then I could get it. And we had a pretty good discussion on computer networks and memory management on C, I guess, memory handling in C. Yeah, right.
Okay, so there's a lot of people whose dream company is Intuit who want to work in Intuit. So what advice would you give to people who are trying to crack Intuit? Like how should they prepare to have a chance or have a shot at cracking Intuit like you were able to?
Hmm. Like speaking of my preparation specifically, I think I got my preparation right for the most part. Uh, you know, like because I was into competitive programming and preparing for ICM ICPC, the DSA part was not as daunting as it would seem. And then once that was done, I just stuck to the basics, and then just made sure I was strong on core CS subjects like OOPS networks and DBMS and OS. So I made sure that I was really good and on point with my basic subjects. And once that was done, all your projects that are on your resume, you should be really strong and familiar with all of
Yeah.
them, like each part of it. Even if it is a group project, make sure that you sit with your other teammates and know what they have done,
Yeah.
so that you're not lost. Like you can't really say this was done by my teammate, and I
Yeah.
am not sure what happens.
Yeah.
And that leaves a very bad
Yeah.
impression.
Impressive.
So just makes, I mean, you don't have to know the code, obviously. If you can just speak well about it, explain to the other person what is happening over here, irrespective of whether you did it or not, you will be good. And it might be a cliche saying this, but be good at DSA. I mean, practice well on that, and make sure your fundamental subjects of computer science are strong, and then your projects come along. So I think that would be all for any placement into it, not just
Yeah.
into it.
Okay. So that was a beautiful journey, and I hope that will help a lot of people who are trying to crack into it. So again, thank you so much for coming on my channel and sharing your knowledge with me and my subscribers. So thank you.
Thank you, Ashish, for having me.